Ryan's office revenge.
The Hotshot CEO fired me day one. By morning, his assistant was practically in tears about losing millions. That's when everyone learned why firing the quiet guy with 15 years of experience was career suicide. So let me tell you about the time some Stanford MBA walked into our building on his first day, fired me in front of everyone like I was yesterday's garbage, and then watched his entire world crumble before his morning coffee got cold. My name's Gavin Stone. I'm 49 years old, and for 15 years I walked through the revolving doors of Sterling Tech Solutions like I belonged there. Not because I had some inflated ego, I'm not delusional, but because I'd earned every square inch of respect in that 35-story glass tower through countless late nights, impossible deadlines, and relationships built one handshake at a time. Project Director. That's what the nameplate on my office door said. Fancy title, right? But what it didn't say was that I'd saved this company from bankruptcy twice, secured partnerships worth billions, and knew where every skeleton was buried in every boardroom closet from coast to coast. Plus, I was the only guy who understood both our legacy systems and why our biggest clients still needed them. I was the guy clients called when things went sideways, the one who remembered their kids' names, their anniversary dates, how they preferred to handle negotiations. That kind of institutional knowledge doesn't show up on an org chart, but it's worth its weight in gold. That Tuesday morning started like any other, 7:45 a.m. sharp. I pushed through those doors carrying my usual black coffee and a congratulatory card I'd picked up for the new CEO's first day. Professional gesture, the kind of thing you do when you've been around long enough to know that first impressions matter. I'd even written, "Welcome to new beginnings and continued success." Looking back, I should have just stayed home. The lobby buzzed with nervous energy that morning. Groups of employees clustered near the security desk, whispering like kids waiting outside the principal's office. I caught fragments as I walked past. Wonder what he's like. Heard he cleaned house at his last company. Hope our jobs are safe. I smiled at them. Same reassuring smile I'd perfected over 15 years. Everything would be fine. Change was natural. We'd weathered transitions like this before. Kevin from accounting called out as I passed his desk. "Morning, Gavin. You meeting with him today?" 10:30, I replied, shifting my coffee. Right after the all-hands meeting. If I'd known those would be the last words I'd speak as an employee of Sterling Tech Solutions, I might have chosen them more carefully. The elevator ride to the 30th floor felt different that morning. Longer somehow. The familiar ding at each floor seemed to count down to something I couldn't quite name. When the doors opened to the executive level, I found it transformed. Gone were the warm burgundy carpets and oak furniture that had been there since the company's founding. Everything was white and chrome now, sterile, like a hospital ward. Hunter Wells stood at the center of it all, and I understood immediately why people whispered his name with a mix of fear and curiosity. 6'2", sharp as a surgical instrument in his charcoal designer suit, eyes like a winter storm. He was surrounded by his own people, faces I didn't recognize, bodies that moved with predatory precision. The old guard was nowhere to be seen. I approached with my card and my professional smile, extending my free hand like I'd done 1,000 times before. "Mr. Wells, I'm Gavin Stone, Project Director. Welcome to Sterling Tech Solutions." He looked at my hand like it was something scraped off his shoe. Then his gaze traveled up to meet mine, and I saw my fate written in that gray stare before he even opened his mouth. "Stone," he said. My name came out of his mouth like he was reading it off a termination list, which I would later learn he absolutely was. Perfect timing. The entire floor had gone silent. Every cubicle prairie dog had popped up to watch. His assistants smirked behind their tablets. Even the air conditioning seemed to hold its breath. "I've been reviewing the organizational chart," Wells continued, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Identifying redundancies, legacy hires who've grown too comfortable with outdated processes." My smile never wavered. 15 years in corporate America teaches you to keep your face neutral while Rome burns around you. "I'd be happy to discuss the current project portfolio with you," I said. "We have several legacy system integrations that require careful handling. That won't be necessary." He cut me off like he was swatting a fly. "Your services are no longer required. We're moving toward full digital transformation. Security will escort you out." The words landed in the silence like a judge's gavel. Someone gasped. I think it was Amanda from legal who'd started the same year I did. The congratulatory card suddenly felt ridiculous in my hands, like bringing a gift to your own execution. I see, I said, because what else was there to say? Don't do this, you're making a mistake, please. I'd watched too many people beg in conference rooms over the years. Desperation never changed anyone's mind. It just made the humiliation worse. May I ask why? You may not. He'd already turned away, dismissing me with his body language before security even arrived. This is a new era for Sterling Tech Solutions. We need fresh perspectives and modern approaches, not relics from the past. Relics. 15 years of 60-hour weeks, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, relationships that fell apart because I was married to this company first. And I was a relic. The two security guards who approached looked apologetic. Frank and Dave, guys I'd grabbed lunch with 100 times. They didn't meet my eyes. Sir, Frank mumbled, we need to escort you to your office to collect your things. That won't be necessary, I said, surprised at how steady my voice remained. I keep my personal items in my car. It wasn't true, but I wouldn't give Wells the satisfaction of the walk of shame. The cardboard box, the pitying looks, my dad's photo could stay in the desk drawer, the awards on the wall belonged to someone who no longer existed. I looked down at the card still clutched in my hands. To new beginnings and continued success. The irony was heavy enough to anchor a yacht. With deliberate precision, I walked to the nearest wastebasket and dropped the card inside. The sound it made hitting the bottom was the only goodbye I offered. Gavin, someone whispered as security flanked me toward the elevator. Brooke Miller, Wells's imported assistant. She watched from her new desk with an expression I couldn't quite read. Pity? Warning? Her fingers gripped her phone like she wanted to say something, but the words died in the Arctic atmosphere Wells had created. The elevator doors closed on 15 years of my life, just like that. Done. Erased like a typo on a spreadsheet. In the lobby, I kept my spine straight. Didn't look back. Didn't give anyone the satisfaction of seeing me crack. Whatever I was feeling, and trust me, there was a lot, it wasn't going to show on my face. Frank walked me to my car in the parking garage. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead like a funeral march. Sorry, Gavin, he said quietly once we were out of earshot of anyone else. That was garbage. Total garbage. Guy's been here 5 minutes and thinks he knows better than everyone who built this place. I nodded once. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate it. You going to be okay? I'll figure it out. Always do. The drive home was a blur. My apartment felt smaller than it had that morning. Emptier. The silence was deafening. I sat on my couch and stared at the wall for I don't know how long, trying to process what had just happened. 15 years gone in 5 minutes because some MBA Hotshot wanted to make a statement. Then my phone started buzzing, and it didn't stop. First was my buddy Ryan, who worked in IT at Sterling Tech. Dude, what the hell happened? Everyone's freaking out. Wells just fired 6 more people after you left. Said he's restructuring the entire legacy systems division. Then Amanda from legal. Gavin, I'm so sorry. That was completely unprofessional. For what it's worth, half the office is updating their resumes right now. Then Kevin from accounting. Man, that guy's a psycho. You okay? I responded to none of them. Just watched the notifications pile up like digital condolences at a funeral I hadn't planned to attend. Part of me wanted to throw the phone across the room. The other part knew I needed to keep my head clear. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. I made myself some food I didn't taste, took a shower that didn't help, and sat back down on the couch to think. 15 years of relationships. 15 years of contracts, 15 years of knowing exactly which buttons to push and which to leave alone. Wells had no idea what he'd just thrown in the trash. Around 6 p.m., a different kind of message came through. Paige Wilson, Executive VP at Phoenix Industries, one of our biggest clients. We'd worked together for 8 years, built something real, the kind of professional relationship where you could finish each other's sentences in negotiations. Gavin, heard what happened. Call me when you can. Important. I called her back immediately. Gavin, she said without preamble, I just got off the phone with Owen Murphy himself. He's concerned. Concerned about what? About whether Sterling Tech can maintain service levels without you. Your name is on our contract. Page 47. Key person clause. If you're gone, we have options. I sat up straighter. Key person clause. I'd almost forgotten about that. 3 years ago, when we'd renegotiated the Phoenix Industries contract, Owen had insisted on including language that specifically named me as the primary relationship manager. At the time, it had seemed like a formality, a nice gesture of confidence. Now it was something else entirely. What kind of options? I asked carefully. The kind that could cost Sterling Tech about $15 million annually if we choose to exercise them, Page replied. And Gavin? We're not the only account with that language. Henderson Industries has the same clause for their $12 million contract. So does Kimura Holdings with their $13 million deal. My mind raced. Henderson, Kimura, Phoenix Industries. 3 of our biggest clients. Combined, they represented exactly $40 million, nearly 40% of the company's $100 million annual revenue. And all 3 contracts had key person clauses with my name on them. I'm not asking you to do anything, Page continued, but I thought you should know. Owen wants to talk to you directly tomorrow morning if possible. I'll be available. After I hung up, I sat in the darkness of my apartment processing. Wells had fired me to make a statement to show everyone who was in charge. He'd called me a relic. Deadwood. Something to be cleared away. He had no idea what he'd just done. The calls started at 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. Not one call, but a symphony of desperation orchestrated by the collapse of corporate hubris. I let them all go to voicemail while I made my coffee and watched the sunrise paint my windows in shades of gold. The voicemail transcripts read like a corporate thriller. Michael Torres from Legal, his usually calm voice cracked with stress. Gavin, this is beyond critical. Kimura Holdings is threatening immediate contract termination. They're citing breach of good faith. Please, we need to discuss options. Then CFO Chloe Anderson. Stone, I've run the numbers. If Phoenix and Henderson pull out with Kimura, we're looking at a 40% revenue hit. The board is meeting an emergency session at 8. Call me. But the most interesting message came from someone unexpected. Owen Murphy himself, patriarch of the Murphy family, honorary chairman of Phoenix Industries. I'd met him only twice, both times at industry events where he'd held court like corporate royalty. Mr. Stone, I believe we should speak directly. My private number is attached. The situation has become complicated. I called him back first. Gavin, he answered on the first ring. His voice carried the weight of old money and older wisdom. Thank you for returning my call. I'm afraid there's been some rather unfortunate developments. Good morning, Mr. Murphy. What kind of developments? Hunter Wells called Page yesterday afternoon, tried to convince her that Sterling Tech had adequate personnel to maintain service levels without you. He paused, and I could picture him in his study, surrounded by first editions and disappointment. He actually suggested your assistant could take over the account. My assistant? I almost laughed. Brandon had been with the company 8 months. He didn't even have full security clearance for their legacy data systems yet. Precisely what Page told him. Rather forcefully, I understand. He chuckled dryly. But that's not why I'm calling. I'm listening. TechFlow Dynamics reached out to us last night. They've offered to not only match Sterling Tech's contract terms, but to bring on what they called proven leadership from the industry. They weren't subtle about meaning you. So TechFlow was already making moves. I'd wondered how long it would take them to smell blood in the water. Classic vulture behavior. I haven't spoken to TechFlow, I said carefully. I know. That's what concerns me, Gavin. They're betting on acquiring you to acquire us. Meanwhile, your Mr. Wells seems to believe this is all a negotiating tactic. He actually accused Page of manufacturing a crisis to renegotiate rates. Now I did laugh. Short and sharp, he'd accused Page Wilson of lying. Page, who still had the first dollar Phoenix Industries ever earned framed in her office. It did not go over well, Owen. Confirmed. Which brings me to my point. The board has given Sterling Tech 48 hours to resolve the key person clause issue. That deadline expires tomorrow at noon. But I wanted you to know that regardless of what happens with Sterling Tech, Phoenix Industries values the relationship we've built with you personally. If circumstances were to change regarding your employment situation, he let the implication hang in the air like expensive cologne. One of the most prestigious firms in America was essentially offering me a blank check to bring them wherever I landed. I appreciate that, Mr. Murphy, more than you know. May I offer some unsolicited advice? I've seen many young executives like Mr. Wells. They mistake motion for progress, volume for authority. They believe that clearing the board gives them fresh moves, not realizing that in business, as in chess, you need your pieces to win. I'll keep that in mind. After we hung up, I showered and dressed with more care than I had in years. Not the armor of corporate life. Those days might be over. Instead, I chose my best suit, the one I'd bought myself after closing the Kimura deal 4 years ago. If Hunter Wells wanted to negotiate with the guy he'd dismissed, he'd get me at full power. Around 9 a.m., there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Brooke Miller, Wells' imported assistant, standing on my doorstep. She looked like she hadn't slept. Her usually perfect appearance was showing cracks, dark circles under her eyes, hair slightly out of place. "Mr. Stone," she said, "may I come in?" I stepped aside and let her enter. She stood in my living room, clutching a folder like it was a life raft. "Mr. Wells sent me. He wants to discuss terms for your return." "My return?" I leaned against the kitchen counter. 24 hours ago, he called me a relic, said the company needed fresh perspectives. Things have evolved. She swallowed hard. Phoenix Industries activated their key person clause this morning. Henderson Industries is threatening the same. Kimura Holdings has already contacted their lawyers, and now he wanted me back. He's prepared to offer significant concessions. Full reinstatement, salary increase, whatever it takes to stabilize the situation. I studied her for a long moment. Brooke Miller, caught between power brokers, trying to survive in a game she'd never asked to play. Yesterday, she'd watched me get fired without saying a word. Today, she was here begging me to come back. My phone buzzed. Paige Wilson again. TechFlow presenting at 2 p.m. Board wants resolution before then. I showed Brooke the screen. See that? In a few hours, Phoenix Industries hears TechFlow's pitch. Once that happens, momentum shifts. Other clients will follow. "Please," she said, "just look at the offer. The company can't survive losing all 3 contracts. Tell Mr. Wells I'll meet with him tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Not at Sterling Tech, neutral ground. The Metropolitan Club, main dining room. He comes alone. No entourage, no power plays." She gathered her folder hastily, relief and fear warring on her face. "Thank you. I'll tell him immediately." The Metropolitan Club at 9:50 a.m. Thursday was exactly what you'd expect. Dark wood, leather chairs that had held the weight of 1,000 power handshakes, portraits of men who'd built empires before email existed. The kind of place where deals got made over breakfast and careers got ended over lunch. I chose a table by the window, ordered coffee, and waited. Wells arrived at 10:07 a.m. I could tell the delay was intentional. Power move number 1 in the corporate playbook. Make them wait. Show them who's in charge. But I didn't look up from my phone, where I was responding to Kimura's legal team. Let him stand there in his designer suit, waiting for attention he'd denied me. "Mr. Stone," he finally said, pulling out the chair across from me. I finished typing, sent the message, then looked up with a pleasant smile. "Mr. Wells, thanks for coming." He looked different than he had on Tuesday. The sharp edges were still there, but stress had drawn lines around his eyes. His suit was impeccable, but his hands betrayed him. A slight tremor as he reached for the water glass. "Let's cut to the chase," he began, trying to regain control. "The company needs you back. I'm prepared to offer—" "No," I interrupted softly. "That's not how this works. You don't get to set the terms anymore. You forfeited that right when you had security escort me out like a criminal." His jaw tightened. That was perhaps hasty. Hasty. I laughed, drawing glances from nearby tables. "You destroyed 15 years of work in 5 minutes. You humiliated me in front of people I'd mentored, people who respected me, and you did it to prove a point, to mark your territory. How's that working out for you?" "You know exactly how it's working out," he snapped, then visibly forced himself to calm down. "Look, I made a mistake. I admit it. I didn't understand the full scope of your relationships with our clients." "No," I corrected. "You didn't bother to understand. There's a difference. You walked in assuming everyone from the previous regime was expendable. That experience was weakness. That loyalty was complacency." The waiter approached, but I waved him off. This wasn't about dining. This was about watching Hunter Wells eat crow in the most exclusive club in Manhattan. "What do you want?" he asked finally. The words seemed dragged from him. Name your price. The board has authorized me to do whatever it takes. I pulled out a notebook, the same one I'd written in after he'd fired me. Let me tell you what's happened since Tuesday morning. Phoenix Industries activated their key person clause. Henderson Industries is reconsidering their partnership. Kimura Holdings is reviewing all contracts for similar provisions. 3 other major accounts have made discreet inquiries about the stability of their relationships. His face paled with each name, but that's just the immediate damage, I continued. TechFlow Dynamics has already approached 2 of our clients. Morrison Partners is circling Kimura. Every competitor smells blood. And why? Because the new CEO just proved he doesn't understand his own business. I'll return to Sterling Tech, but not as project director. I want Executive Vice President of Client Relations reporting directly to the board, not to you. I want veto power over any terminations in my division. I want my name on the building directory, and I want a public statement acknowledging that my termination was an error in judgment. The contracts came through by noon. Full reinstatement as Executive Vice President. Board seat in my future. Public statement acknowledging the error in judgment. Everything I'd asked for and then some. But Monday morning brought something I hadn't anticipated. I walked into Sterling Tech at 7 a.m. sharp, wearing the confidence I'd earned. My corner office on the 38th floor gleamed with fresh paint and new furniture. The nameplate reading Gavin Stone, Executive Vice President, in letters that caught the morning light. Brandon, my former assistant, now promoted to Senior Account Manager, met me with coffee and a concerned expression. "We have a problem," he said without preamble. "IT found something during the weekend systems audit. There are discrepancies in the Phoenix Industries contract files." "What kind of discrepancies?" "Someone accessed the payment terms section last Tuesday night, after your termination. The modification timestamps show changes to the fee structure." I set down my coffee carefully. "Show me." In my office, Brandon pulled up the file history on my monitor. There it was, 11:47 p.m. Tuesday. Someone had altered the payment schedule, inflating our fees by 15% and hiding it in subsection amendments. The digital signature showed administrator access, but the specific user ID was scrambled. "Who has admin access to contract files?" I asked, though I suspected the answer. "C-suite executives and their designated assistants," Brandon replied. "Legal flagged it during the compliance review you ordered. They're quietly losing their minds." My phone rang. "Michael Torres from Legal. Right on cue. Gavin, we need to talk. Can you come to the legal floor? Bring Brandon. Tell no one else." The legal department occupied the entire 35th floor. This morning, those serious expressions had graduated to grim. Michael met us at the elevator with 2 other senior counsels and ushered us into a secure conference room. "We found more," he said without preamble, sliding a folder across the table. 3 contracts total. Phoenix, Henderson, Kimura, all modified after hours on Tuesday, all showing inflated payment terms that were never agreed to. I opened the folder, scanning the evidence. Someone had been clever, but not clever enough. The modifications were subtle. A percentage here, a fee structure there, designed to look like normal amendments. But I knew these contracts like my own signature. Every deviation screamed sabotage. "If these had gone through," Michael continued, "if the clients had received invoices based on these numbers, they'd have terminated for breach immediately," I finished. "No cure period. It would have validated every concern about Sterling Tech's stability." "Exactly. Someone wanted to ensure that contracts failed, even if you came back." Brandon leaned forward. "The timestamps are all from the executive floor, but we can't pin it to Wells directly. Anyone with access to an executive terminal could have done this. Security logs are conveniently corrupted for that time period. Professional job," another lawyer added. "Someone who knew our systems." I thought back to Tuesday night, the executive floor in darkness. Who would have had access? Who would have had motive? "I need to talk to Brooke Miller," I said suddenly. 30 minutes later, Brooke sat across from me in a different conference room, this one wired for recording, with legal permission. She looked exhausted, her usually perfect appearance showing cracks. "I didn't know what he was planning," she said before I could even ask. "Tuesday night he asked me to stay late, said we needed to review all major contracts, understand the portfolio. I gave him my access codes because he said his weren't working yet." "Who is he?" "Brooke." Her hands trembled. "Zachary Reed, from TechFlow Dynamics. He was there in Wells' office. They were celebrating. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Wells didn't just want to fire me. He wanted to destroy the relationships permanently. Zachary said it was insurance, Brooke continued, tears forming. That even if you came back, the contracts would implode when clients saw the altered terms. Then TechFlow could sweep in, offer to honor the original pricing, look like heroes. And Wells would get kickbacks for delivering distressed clients, I finished. Classic corporate raid dressed up as executive. Transition. After getting Brooke's full statement, I convened an emergency board meeting. The evidence was overwhelming. Wells hadn't just been incompetent. He'd been complicit in corporate sabotage. The board deliberated for exactly 12 minutes. Wells' resignation letter was signed by noon. His personal items were packed within an hour. Security escorted him out the same way they'd escorted me 5 days earlier. By 2 p.m., Hunter Wells had disappeared from Sterling Tech Solutions as suddenly as he'd arrived. No farewell email, no goodbye party. Just an empty corner office and a cautionary tale about the dangers of arrogance. Word spread fast. By end of business, everyone knew the broad strokes. The new CEO who'd lasted less than a week, the conspiracy with a competitor, the cover-up that fell apart. TechFlow Dynamics found themselves under investigation by 3 different regulatory bodies. Their stock dropped 18% in a single day when the news broke. The contracts were quietly restored to their original terms, with no client ever knowing they'd been tampered with. Clean, professional. The way it should have been handled from the start. 6 months later, the board made it official. Corner office on the 40th floor, CEO nameplate. View stretching from the Hudson to the East River. Brandon knocked, now my chief of staff. The Journal interview is in 15 minutes. They want to discuss the turnaround story. The reporter asked about TechFlow Dynamics. I told her they were under federal investigation for corporate espionage. 3 executives had already been indicted. Their stock had dropped 42% since the scandal broke. 2 of their biggest clients had jumped ship to us. She asked about Hunter Wells. I told her I wished him well in his future endeavors. What I didn't tell her was that he'd been blacklisted from every major firm in the industry. Word travels fast when you conspire to sabotage your own company. Last I heard, he was running some consulting gig out of his apartment. After the interview, Paige Wilson stopped by. Phoenix just renewed for another 5 years, she said. Owen wanted me to deliver the news personally. Also, Henderson is increasing their contract by 30%, and Kimura wants to discuss expanding into their Southeast Asian operations. 3 major wins in one afternoon. Not bad for a relic. My phone buzzed. Text from Jerome Sterling. Board approved the acquisition. Congratulations. The acquisition. 6 weeks of negotiations to buy out Morrison Partners, one of our regional competitors. Doubled our West Coast presence overnight. Added 200 employees and 18 new client relationships to the portfolio. At 6 p.m., I got a call from Owen Murphy in London. Gavin, quick question. Would Sterling Tech be interested in partnering on our European expansion? Berlin office first, then Paris and Madrid. That's a big move. It is, but I trust you to figure it out. I pulled up my calendar, already packed through next quarter. Didn't matter. This was how you built something that lasted. Send me the details, I said. I'll have a proposal by end of week. After I hung up, I looked around my office. 6 months ago, I'd been escorted out of this building by security, called a relic, told my services were no longer required. Now I had the corner office, the CEO title, and a company that had just posted its best quarter in 15 years. Stock up 30%. Employee satisfaction at an all-time high. Client retention rate leading the industry. Hunter Wells had wanted to clear out the deadwood and start fresh. Instead, he'd cleared the path for me to take everything he thought he deserved. I grabbed my coat and headed for the elevator. Tomorrow, we were announcing the European expansion. Next week, the Morrison integration would be complete. Next month, we'd break ground on the new headquarters annex. The revolving doors pushed out into the Manhattan evening. Same doors I'd walked through 6 months ago, card in the trash. Career supposedly over. Sometimes the best revenge isn't planned. Sometimes it just requires patience while arrogant men discover the weight of their own mistakes. Sometimes the quiet guy with 15 years of experience knows exactly what he's worth. And the market proves him right. Funny how that worked out. In corporate America, relationships aren't just networking. They're the invisible infrastructure that keeps billion-dollar companies from collapsing overnight. True power in the corporate world doesn't come from the ability to fire people. It comes from building something so valuable that firing you becomes impossible.